This video will cover exercise 301A in ODOT's Open Roads Designer Training. And in this exercise, we're just going to create some geometry base maps for the training project. So I'm going to start by opening ProjectWise Explorer. And I do not have a desktop shortcut for that. You could certainly create one if you'd like. So in the Start menu under the Bentley group, you'll find ProjectWise Explorer. And you could just drag that onto your desktop if you want to use a desktop shortcut. Alternately, you could just use the search bar and just search for ProjectWise and select it that way. So whichever way you prefer to go works fine. So we're opening ProjectWise Explorer, and I already have the training data set set up, and this is something that Central Office CAD and Mapping can get set up for you if you don't have the data set in place. So in ODOT's ProjectWise data sources, there's an ODOT training and testing data source. So I'm going to use that data source, and I'm going to browse to the active projects folder. So under documents, active projects, and my information is located under District 6. So whatever district you're in, you can navigate to that particular district, and then there's an underscore D0 whatever for your district number. That's going to give you the folders for the individual users. So as I said, you'll have to have CAD and Mapping set this up for you with the training data. So looking at my information for my particular username, I'm going to use the design training, and there's a PID number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then our folder structure there. So just looking at what's been already set up for this, once the data is installed, under 300 survey base maps is where you'll find the survey field book that has all the survey mapping and terrain model. And under 400 engineering, under roadway base maps, there's a couple files already in place. So there's some geometry files that in this particular example are set up for the existing alignments. So the 000 file is a collector file, and there's actually nothing drawn in that. The other geometry files are referenced to this file. So the BK001 contains the geometry for our existing State Route 185. 002 is the geometry for the existing St. Peter Road, and then 003 is the geometry for the Jameson Road. So in this particular example, the survey crew has provided existing center lines for the project, and what we're going to do is create new design files for our proposed design. So to get started, I just need to open a file, and it really doesn't matter which file I use. I can open any of these, or I could open one of the seed files if I wanted to, and we're going to use the Ohio DOT Create Design Files application. So I'll just open the first one here just by double-clicking on the file. It's going to check out the file from the server and download that locally. And it's also going to take a look at our CAD standards, and if it needs to download any standards, it's going to get those as well. So all the files are copied locally, they work on them locally, and then we'll upload those back to ProjectWise when we're done. Okay, I had the file open, and I can see in ProjectWise Explorer that the file is checked out. And if I look at the document properties down here, I can see it's checked out to Eric Thomas. So if you're watching this video and you're external to ODOT, you can get these files from the Bentley Community's ODOT page. I'm going to go ahead and open that. I have this already open in Internet Explorer. So there's a community set up for Ohio DOT and consultants, and in there we have a wiki page, and on the wiki page there's some training resources. So you'll want to take a look at the setting up training link here, and that'll get you started with the training files and setting up this information. Okay, so I'm going to just use this file as a launching point to create new files. So in my workflows, I'll change to the Ohio DOT workflow. I'll choose the Ohio DOT Create Design Files application. And this video, or this application, has its own video. If you look under Help, there's a video there. So I'll let you use that to review the video. What I'm going to do is create a couple files for roadway base maps. So under Categories, I'll click on Roadway, and then just click off to accept that selection. And what I want is a geometry base map. So I'll check on Geometry Base Map, and I'm going to create two files. So you'll see it's going to put it in the 400 engineering folder under roadway base maps, and the file will be named 1234556_BK004. And I'm going to give this a comment. This file is going to contain my proposed state route 185 geometry. And I'm not going to create a proposed file for St. Peter Road. We're going to use the existing center line of St. Peter Road in our exercises, although we will define a proposed profile for that. So we're not creating a new alignment, so I don't need a new file. I am creating a new alignment for Jameson Road, so I will make another one here for proposed Jameson Road. We're using the 2D seed file, and I'm going to use a 20 scale for my design scale. Under settings, I do not have open last created file turned on, so it's just going to create the files. It's not going to open those files for me. Okay, the files have been created, and if I look in ProjectWise Explorer, I will need to refresh this to see those files. So I think F5 will refresh the folder there so I can see those files have been created. And these files should be automatically attached to the collector file, the BK000 file. So I'm going to verify that those have been attached. So if I come back over into Open Roads, I'll use the file option here, and I'm going to browse. I'm going to open that 000 file. And the software is asking me to check in the BK001 file that I had open, so I'll go ahead and check that back in. I didn't make any changes to the file, so there's really nothing for it to update. I could have just picked free since I did not make any changes, and that would free the file and not upload anything from here. So in the collector file, the idea of this file is that it's just an empty file that references all my geometry. So if I needed access to the geometry, I could just reference this file with a nest depth of 1. And part of the application to create files should also attach those new files as a reference. So I changed my workflow to the Open Roads modeling workflow. Now choose the Attach Tools icon. And I can see that those files have been attached as references. Now, there's nothing drawn in there yet, of course, but as soon as I draw something in there, those graphics should show up in this file. So that's the end of this first video. It's just creating some new design files to house our new geometry.